On GBC News, it's time for news. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Seyoko Kwakuche. Welcome to the news. The intelligence unit of the Ghana National Fire Service, supported by armed plainclothes police, has arrested a gang of fraudsters claiming to recruit unsuspecting members of the public into the Ghana National Fire Service. The recruitment exercise, which started early morning on Friday, 14th January 2022 at Day and Night Hotel at Beka La Paz behind Extra, saw hundreds of prospective applicants paying various sums of money to the fraudsters. 10 of the members of the gang have been arrested and sent to the police headquarters for further investigations. We have on the line Mr. Timothy Osafo Efum, the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service. Good afternoon, Mr. Efum, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Sir, has the Ghana National Fire Service carried out any recruitment exercise at the Day and Night Hotel at Beka La Paz recently?
Yes.
So, who were arrested? If we are told that your outfit plus the police arrested some gangsters doing this exercise at the Day and Night hotel at Beka La Paz. So,
right.
Is it a scam?
Thank you very much. Since we started the recruitment exercise over the past month, actually in October, we've been receiving bits of leads that some people elsewhere are also doing their own things outside the official recruitment that the fire service is doing. So it was as a result of following one of the leads that led to the arrest of the 10 people yesterday. We started monitoring them from the morning to the time that the swoop was carried out. And we also pretended to be interested in the exercise. So when we got confirmation that indeed they were doing recruitment for the fire service, we quickly got in touch with the police because some of them were armed. So the police, and I must say a very big thank you to the Director General Operations of the Ghana Police for quickly dispatching a team to go with us. And so we were able to arrest 10 of the men who were doing the recruitment exercise. As at the time we entered the hotel, we still had about between 150 and 200 victims who were being processed. So that is what happened.
So, Mr. For my first question was whether the GNFS has organized a recruitment exercise at the Day and Night Hotel, and your response was yes. May I know, why did you organize this exercise in a hotel?
No, the GNFS, you know, when we started the recruitment exercise, it was published in the national news. So it's an open activity that we are carried out. We don't do it in a secret place, such as a hotel. We started from our various regional headquarters, where those who applied were asked to go to the region in which they were. So we started from the regional headquarters. And then if you were able to go through that first phase, we'll call you for the second phase, which is the medical. So if you're able also successful at the medical, then we call you for the last stage, which is documentation. So as I speak to you now, we are at the last phase, documentation level. And so if anybody is now paying money to be recruited into the fire service, it is not in our plans because we are far past that stage. And the only money we took was 100 cedis you pay when you register online. And then you also pay for your medical. So those are the two stages that any money was collected from any other person. But not to take huge sums such as 10,000 from people who are looking for a job. So we don't do our activities in a hotel or in a secret place.
All right. So why did you say that you've recently carried out a recruitment exercise in a hotel? That was the first question I asked.
Yeah, so we do not recruit in a hotel. That is what I am saying.
All right. Then you've not carried out any exercise in a hotel. Is that what you?
No, please.
Okay. Right. So let's know, how did your team get to know of this fraudulent activity?
Right. Like I said, we have an intelligence unit who went just at the either the NID or the police investigation department also office. So they did the investigation and came up with this operations of these unscrupulous men. So, as I speak to you, we have other news that we are following, and if we are successful, we will arrest them as well.
So have you spoken to those arrested, and how many people do they say they have processed so far?
Well, we don't investigate criminal issues. The only institution that is allowed to do that is the police. So once we can just arrest, and then the police will continue with the investigation.
Sure. It concerns the GNFS. So at least you must have information about what this gang have been doing so far and how many people have fallen victim. Don't you have any record about that?
No. All that we know is that from our monitoring from the morning since we got to the place, by our estimation, between 400 and 500 people were up.
So what happens to the victims and those arrested? As what happens to the victims and those arrested, the gang arrested?
How?
What happens to them now?
I'm not getting you clear.
I'm asking, what happens to the victims and the gang arrested?
Okay. So after yesterday, at the close of the day, the police were still handling them and interrogating to get a lot more of information. So we can get more details from the police on Monday.
So any education for the public to watch out for these fraudulent activities in the future?
No.
Yeah, do you have anything to tell the public to be on the lookout?
Okay.
Yeah, to be on the watch.
Yes, all that I want to tell the public is we are aware of the interest that the public is showing in joining the fire service. But then you must be very cautious. You don't fall into the unscrupulous hands of these people. Our activities are in. If you are not very sure of what you are doing, get back to any of our stations and tell them that this is what you are doing, and want to verify if what you are doing is the right one or not. If they don't have the information, they can get to us at the headquarters and give you back the information that you needed, so that you don't fall into the hands of such people. The first place is we don't recruit from the social media. We can only recruit from our main portals, either our Facebook page or the web page. So these are the two areas that you can get information from the fire service in terms of recruitment. Outside that, don't fall prey to any gang of people using the social media for recruitment.
So we've heard this kind of news on countless occasions. So what have you put in place, or what are you putting in place to serve as a deterrent to those who want to engage in such activities?
Yes, what we have done is to continuously inform the general public who are interested in joining the fire service that they should always do double checks on the activities they carry out in order to join the fire service. Now, we also want to warn the public that if you are caught recruiting on behalf of the fire service, it's an offense. Therefore, we'll hand you over to the appropriate agencies to be dealt with.
Thank you very much, Mr. Afum, for your time. And Mr. Timothy, Osafo Afom is the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana National Fire Service. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Mr. Ken Ashigbe, has reiterated that no fees are to be paid by patrons of the ongoing SIM card re-registration process. This follows reports that some organizations that have invited the agents of mobile network operators to register their numbers at Kaswa Opei Kuma specifically were demanding a fee of 5 cedis before re-registering the SIMs. Mr. Ashigbe said the telcos are bearing the total cost of re-registration, hence the registration of SIM cards is completely free. He said preliminary investigations into a similar case had discovered that a unit committee member of a community wanted to charge fees to cover for renting of canopies, tables and chairs that would be used for the process. He said in that case the mobile network operators involved wrote a letter warning against any charges, adding that the telcos have made it clear that there is no charge for the service and expect that there will be no charges because every charge is being borne by the MNOs. He said, quote, "We do not want any community to bear any cost because this may be abused. If a community or group cannot support the process without charge, then they must allow the customers to go to the agents of the MNOs to register themselves," end of quote. Mr. Ashigbe also stated that the registration process has improved over the past week with the deployment of an updated version of the registration app. The Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Kwesi Amoah-Akwata, has assured residents of the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis and people in the western region that all ongoing road construction works will be completed in good time. Speaking to the media during inspection of some road projects in the region, he said measures have been put in place to ensure projects are not abandoned by contractors.
The Western region has a total of 5,000 kilometers of road network of various types. 1,800 kilometers representing 35% of the road network in various parts of the region is currently under construction. This is in line with government's resolve to undertake more road projects to open up the region and country at large to economic activities. The Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Amoah-Akwata, in the company of the Western Regional Minister, Mr. Kwabena Ochedaku-Mensah, the MCE of Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, Mr. Abdul Momin Issa, officials of the Road and Transport Ministry and the Urban Roads inspected the progress of work so far at various construction sites. The sites visited are Axim Road, Shippers Council Road and Papa Jaisayo Road, Harbour Road, Harbour Roundabout, Takoradi, De Graft Johnson Avenue. Others are Sekondi Adembra Road, stretching from Park Grant Roundabout through Efiankwanta Hospital to RCC in Sekondi. The rest are Apuampoho and Ejam Roads. Given a general assessment, Mr. Amoah-Akwata expressed satisfaction at the progress of works so far. On the PTC 3-tier interchange, he noted that work, which began barely 2 months ago, is already 20% complete. He urged the contractors, Sino-Hydro of China, to consider working day and night to complete the work on schedule.
It's scheduled to be completed within 24 months. That is between 15 July 2021 to 15 July 2023. But I have had discussions with the contractors and the resident engineer to introduce and incorporate as part and parcel of this project night work, which will mean that sincerely, if all the contractors and everybody, keep on to the work, it should be completed even before the original scheduled time of July 2023.
The Western Regional Minister, Mr. Kwabena Ochida Kumensan, bemoaned the attitude of contractors who discontinue projects, assign them using non-payments of interim certificates as excuse. He then asked the Roads and Transport Minister to discourage the practice.
Following a successful evaluation of Ghana's regime against money laundering and the financing of terrorism, the Financial Action Task Force FATF on the 7th of January 2022 removed the country from the EU list of non-compliant jurisdictions. The European Commission thus now acknowledges that Ghana no longer has strategic deficiency in its anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing regimes. We have an economist, Mr. Bismarck Osei, joining us on the phone line to speak to us on the issue. Good afternoon, Mr. Osei. And thank you very much for joining us on News Hour. Can you tell us what happened before, what happened before Ghana was put on the blacklist, and what did it mean then?
Okay, so as you rightly said, what went wrong for Ghana to be on that list?
Yeah.
One of the reasons is because Ghana demonstrated some strategic deficiency when it comes to dealing with money laundering and terrorism financing. And the Innovative Act actually puts a risk to the international financial architecture and actually bastardized Ghana's financial system. And this act put Ghana on that grey list, as you already said.
So what did we also do before we were removed from the list?
Yes, thank you. And when last year we were put on the grey list, the government, the Ministry of Finance, acted very proactively. The Ministry of Finance, together with the Financial Intelligence Center, the Intergovernmental Action Against Money Laundering and Terrorism Financing in West Africa, put up the Financial Action Task Force. And the Financial Action Task Force that was put together was able to effectuate their strategies very well to draft these Innovative Act. And that took us out of these really. And other institutions like YOCO, other institutions like that, Ministry of Interior, the Attorney General, the SEC, National Intelligence Bureau, Bank of Ghana, and other institutions play a very potential role towards helping us to achieve this very good outcome.
So what does this mean to the country being taken off the EU money laundering list?
Please, can you come again?
What does it mean for Ghana being taken off the list?
Okay, thank you. Secondly, Ghana being out of this grey list put us in a very propitious position where the European Union put integrity in our entire financial architecture. And for the European Union to have integrity in the financial architecture means that it allows us towards potentiating the level of foreign direct investment that will come into the country and the financial transaction between Ghana and the European Union. And again, for us, potentiating our level of foreign direct investment and financial transactions also means that it's going to put us on a path of this economic vibrancy once we're going to receive these foreign direct investment and these financial transactions between Ghana and the EU. And again, too, it's going to create that sort of magical effect towards helping this government to build this sustainable entrepreneurial nation agenda the government has said it minds to do. So it's a very good news for government and good news for financial players and everyone in the country.
And what effect will it have on cost of doing business in the country?
What effect on what cost of doing business?
Of course, yes.
Of course, as I already said, First, when we were put on the grey list, actually it was sort of a credit of pandemonium when it comes to financial transaction between Ghana and the European Union. Ghana was having a difficult doing financial transaction with Ghana and the European Union because they didn't trust the integrity of financial architecture, and that posed a lot of risk to the European Union. And so now that these things have gone, businessmen that want to do financial transactions with the European Union, it's a fair way for them to have that fluidity to do that.
It appears the emergence of several digital payment platforms has made developing countries vulnerable to money laundering. Is there anything that could be done?
The digital platform has done what? I heard the digital platform.
I was saying that it appears the emergence of several digital platforms has made many developing countries vulnerable to money laundering. Is there anything that could be done about this issue?
For the European Union or for Ghana?
For Ghana. Developing countries, so yeah.
It's in those digital systems don't ask to do things. That's what he said.
No, I'm asking that it appears that the emergence of digital platforms in developing countries have made these countries vulnerable to money laundering. So I'm asking, is that the case? And if yes, is there anything that could be done to it?
Of course. As you said, yes, it's one of the among the practical factors. These digital system also have made us point to it, and you see that. That's what the government is trying to make sure that the Ghana card is impregnated when it comes to these use of the money transactions. So the Ghana card, these things we are doing, it's a very, very laudable development. And last year too, the Vice President also set up the Financial Intelligence Security Center too. All these are making sure that these issues that happen on these digital platforms and other issues are integrated. So the Ghana card being integrated integrated with our mobile money transactions and these financial integrity security center that have been set, all these things in the financial action task force will help towards attenuating over the period. And so these things have come to say they are doing very well, and all these institutions should work to make sure that we deal with these issues.
So now that we've been taken off the list, how do we sustain, or how does a country sustain and improve on the control mechanism to avoid being tagged as high-risk country again?
Okay, thank you, particularly. One of the things I will recommend, number one, the Financial Action Task Force that was set up by the Finance Ministry, they have done a very good work. I think it should be made a permanent institution. When it comes to everybody in the country is registering their mobile money, their phone cards, so that they're going to synchronize that with this mobile money traceability and all those things. It's a very good development. I mean, it's all over. Everybody is doing it. And these financial intelligence security centers have been set up. All these institutions should operationalize their objective to make sure that we improve and we don't go back to that very stage again.
Mr. Bismarck Osai is an economist. Thank you so much for your time. Government has assured the management and staff of the Ghana Bauxite Company Limited that it is in the process of renewing the mining lease of the company to ensure business continuity. This follows agitations among the workers that the mining lease of the Bauxite Mining Company expires this month, January 2022. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources responsible for mining, Mr. George Mreku Duka, who gave the assurance, also announced that the government will soon announce a new investor to take over the shares of Bauxite to revive the company. The Deputy Minister made this known at separate meetings with the management and staff of the Ghana Bauxite Company Limited during an official visit to the site at Awasu in the Western North region. The Ghana Bauxite Company Limited was established in 1944 during the colonial era to mine bauxite deposits at Awasu in the Western North region. The company was in 1997 granted a renewed mining lease for 25 years to mine the mineral resource on a concession of 29.4 square meter land located within the Bebiani and Ranso Bekwa municipality. The optimal production capacity of the company is about 1.5 million metric tons pounds per annum. But for some years now, profitability has been on a downward trend. This has led to the company intermittently downsizing its workforce, which now stands at around 700, and has affected more than 1,000 others who indirectly depend on it for their livelihood. Out of the number, only 120 people are permanent staff, while the majority are employees from outsourced companies. A source within the management of the company told GBC News that in 2010, the government of Ghana sold about 80% shares in the company to an international investment company, Bosai, due to the declining production level. In 2021, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mining, Mr. George Mrikuduka, intervened in an impasse between the staff on one hand and investors on the other. Mr. Duke's latest visit was to dialogue with and assure the workers of the government's resolve to revive the company. The workers mentioned, among other issues, the expiration of the mining lease of the company, which is due this month, January 2022, and very poor remuneration that are a bother to them.
Also, now, yeah, for 3 years, 2 years, 10 years, above any day. You perceive who said, Bibi or a chirimaye, and now said Brunino or Jayakwa, or Bibi say, a Duano, Equa, you Bibia won't be as I say, the Maybiano, and by my Yesica, some of your severance will be beyond by my. And so, severance, a bedu, minister, or can I some no? A BM, my aunt Tomoshi. And this, also, Bibi will chill or say, where
is our general manager, Jake Fan? He's not in our midst. He needs to have been here by this time. The reason why I'm asking for his presence here is that shortly before he left this place, he made some shipments of some equipment of this company out of the country and started selling some of the our haulage trucks until he was stopped by the PNI.
Mr. Duka said the government will soon announce a new investor to take over from Bosai, a Chinese investment entity, to ensure business continuity.
Nkrata sembiara owo na owo company no hono nyamenadom yegudara ye totoro pepepe a oncher kra no yewura Samuel Abugina po bejina Ghana funyina hona name ampanyina name na nipa waboso company mu onam Bosai fa woton one shares no that man no dam nipa no obede na ezima Ghana funyina we hu enyije sembi wo honye de dem na yezi kan share bo the worker biara o ha no on lose no job and then on lose no ejuma oreye no igina ha so ma share bo no de worker biara o ha no your work is secured.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation, Mr. Michael Ansa, said, apart from its pivotal contribution to the socio-economic development of the Western North region, the Ghana Bauxite Company Limited forms an integral part of the government's integrated aluminium industry meant to transform Ghana's economy. At an earlier meeting with the company's management, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Mrikuduka, said legal processes are ongoing to renew the mining lease of the bauxite mining company.
The obvious vision of the government is to have a smelting plant, is to, in a way, have alumina established here in Ghana and not importing alumina where we export, bauxite and then import alumina for a difficult cost to this nation.
The Africa Education Watch, EduWatch, has described the current policy by the Ghana Education Service that civil society organizations must obtain an introductory letter from the headquarters of the GS before they are permitted to undertake any research in and around public schools, as against efforts by the CSOs to strengthen policies in the education sector. Before then, the introductory letters were obtained from DES district officers. The executive director for EduWatch, Mr. Kofi Asari, said GES has taken steps against its own attempt to decentralize the management of the education sector. He is on the phone line to speak more on the issue. Good afternoon, Mr. Sare, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your audience.
So, Mr. Sare, what do you make about this directive from GES?
I think the directive is counter to the policy of government. It is actually a contradiction of government policy to decentralize education management. On one breath, education decentralization is a key pillar in the Ministry of Education's reform agenda, where you are looking to shape decision-making responsibility and authority to the district as much as practicable. On another breath, the Secretary is asking the District Education Directorates not to admit, anyone entry to the schools until they have an introductory letter from the GES Secretary, which is practically important because the GES Secretary cannot be issuing letters for over 40,000 schools. People want to enter 40,000 schools. It is not practically possible. And we are worried because it is being used as a conduit of, to deny some civil society organizations, and including some media houses, access to schools, under the premise that you are likely to go and, share information which is unpalatable to the service. And that is the challenge we have because the directive will end up stifling or narrowing the civic space instead of expanding the frontiers of our civic space so that we cannot participate collectively in education policy implementation.
So definitely EduWatch is not for this directive. Maybe many CSOs are not for this directive. So then, if that is so, what do you suggest is the best steps GES should have taken?
Very important to regulate people who enter the school environments. It's always admitted. So, but what is the best way? The best way is how we have done that in the past 4 decades, where you go to the district education office, you write a letter to the district education director explaining that you want to go and do a research or you want to go and conduct an interview. So you seek permission from the district education director, who is the director managing an average of 100 schools. So that has been the norm. And there is no evidence that district education directors are unable to coordinate the entry of stakeholders in schools. At the end of the day, they are the only body that knows the school better. The district education director knows the school better than the GES secretary sitting in Accra. So we are only asking that let's revert to the previous arrangement, because this arrangement is just meant to, as I said, to stifle access to information and deny certain CSOs, including EduWatch, access to schools. We wrote a letter to the GES asking for permission to conduct and study in Zanzibar and in Ponta South. As far back as August last year, we are in January. We are yet to get a response. So how do you think it is practicable for such a directive to be implemented without letting it seem as if you are actually trying to use it to prevent other CSOs who may be critical of government from entering the schools? That's why we are saying that kindly revert to the existing order. If there are challenges with that, seek to strengthen it, but don't attempt to monopolize or gag information, gag opinions, restrict information from the school, because all stakeholders, including the media, CSOs, are interested in supporting government to implement the education agenda, and it shouldn't be seen as something that should be, prevented or constricted.
So how can this directive gag opinions from CSOs, and then how would this directive also affect the attempts of CSOs to help strengthen policies in the education sector?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that this directive is actually meant to strengthen the coordination of the work of CSOs. CSOs are working with government collaboratively. We are building schools, we are supporting schools with service delivery, capacity building, and some of us are also demanding accountability and then conducting research and informing government of the success and then the challenges in its policy implementation. So we are supporting government. If we are not allowed to enter schools, how can we support government? So we are saying that it's important for the GES to coordinate the work of CSOs. That is very, very important. Because any other person can just walk into the school and do what they want to do, propagate bad messages, and then infiltrate the kids. So it's very important to regulate and determine who goes into the school environment. But in doing so, don't do it in a manner that seeks to punish certain organizations or certain people, because you cannot tell me that if I am an NGO and I'm based in Zamzugu, in the northern region, northeast, and I want to conduct an research in Zamzugu, I have to come to Greater Accra region, obtain a letter of introduction from the Data General, which letter will take about 4 months to obtain before going back to Zamzugu and undertake the research. Are we being practical? No. We are just trying to make the work difficult for NGOs, especially those who are interested in holding government accountable for policy implementation and holding the GS accountable to government policy. That's why we are saying that the GS should forget about this particular policy. It is not democratic. It is counter-democratic, and then it is actually the re-centralizing of a government policy that seeks to rather decentralize education management. So we actually wrote to the Ministry of Education to direct the GES that its actions must be consistent with the ministry's policy on decentralization and not re-centralize education management on very, very, very basic issues like school entry in districts. The GES should be left to focus on weightier issues than to be chasing the people who want to enter schools. They should leave it to the district education directory because they have the capacity to do so.
And what response did you get from the letter you wrote to the Education Ministry?
We are yet to, I'm actually initiating moves to meet with the Minister on this. To be honest with you, I don't think we should even relate to such issues, because these are issues that take us back. There are so many issues in the sector to be discussed. These are drawback issues. But I have already indicated to the Minister that I'll be happy to meet him to have a discussion on not only this issue, but other issues that we raised in our area. I'm hopeful that once the Minister's attention has been drawn to this, he will instruct the GES to do the needful. That we don't create the pressure and personally government is not interested in running an open government, but an opaque government where critical organizations or information is being suppressed. It is not what government is to do, and the GES should not be minded to pursue that path.
Mr. Kofi Asari is the Executive Director of EduWatch. Thank you so much for talking to News Hour. A reform of the 1992 Constitution has been proposed in Accra. An economist, Mr. Senyor Hosi, recommended a democracy that makes politics a call and moment of service and not a career of total economic dependence. This is said would strengthen Ghana's participatory democracy and sovereignty. Mr. Senyor Hosi was speaking at a lecture at the University of Professional Studies, UPSA.
The lecture was organized by the University of Professional Studies, Accra UPSA Law School in collaboration with One Ghana Movement. It was on the theme Avoiding the Impending Death of the 1992 Constitution. An economic policy analyst, Mr. Senyor Hosi, called for urgent reform of the 1992 Constitution, arguing that the Constitution in its current form breeds corruption. He proposed a new democracy, a consensual democracy, and not an adversarial democracy.
A democracy of a loser wins some and not a winner takes all. A democracy that makes politics a call and moment of service and not a career of total economic dependence. A democracy that promotes the strengthening of our institutions and reflects the inclusiveness of our professionals and people. A democracy in which being out of government means nothing to your economic sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, a democracy that promotes meritocracy. This, I believe, may require 3 broad interventions to enable us avoid the risk of death of our Constitution.
He recommended what he termed a 7D reform of the Constitution, some of which are covered in various forms in the Constitutional Review Commission report of 2011.
We need to deepen the separation of powers between the 3 arms of government. 2, depoliticize our governance and democratic institutions. 3, depoliticize our security services, depoliticize our accountability institutions, depoliticize all state agencies including SOEs, regulatory bodies and agencies. 6, democratize our MMDAs, and 7, democracy funding, which will be the sticky one.
Some legislators present at the event also called for the amendment of the Constitution. According to them, portions of the 1992 Constitution have outlived their usefulness.
The Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, GRTCC, and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, have asked members of the public to disregard a purported 40% increment in transport fares effective Monday, January 17 this year. Mr. Abbas Moro is a public relations officer for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Good afternoon, Mr. Moro, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Afternoon, madam, and afternoon to all viewers or listeners.
So, sir, why have the previous announcements of the increment of transport fares been cancelled?
Thank you very much. We have to make certain things clear to the general public. Somewhere later part in last year, we petitioned government on scrapping out of some taxes which will automatically reduce the fuel costs, whereby drivers after the hard day's work, we can gain something small into our pockets. We haven't finally heard from government, and we are planning to meet finally and see the way forward. Whilst we were planning on the next line of action, yes, our one of the sister unions, concerned drivers, came out with a press release that effective from Monday 17th, they want to come out with 40% upward adjustment to lorry fares. In any case, they have never told us they have deviated or they have resigned from our coalition. They have never told us that. Well, as Ghanaians, I believe it is their right to say whatever they deem necessary. But the problem is, we are talking about national issue, and one has to ask, is that the way we've been increasing lorry fares? The answer is no. Because if we are even going to change our petition from scrapping out of some taxes to upward adjustment in lorry fares, we have a process. We have to make sure we look at the current market prices of spare parts, how much it was and how much it is today, looking at the percentage. We have to look at the lubricants, even documentations that we use in running transport. We have to look at all these things, including fuel, and come out with a percentage. And even with that, we have to inform the government, effective from this day or that day, due to this and that and that and that, this is what we intend doing. So there is a process of even increasing lorry fares. Hence, we said the announcement of consent should not be regarded as anything serious. Everybody should disregard it. In any case, GPRTU, no matter how big we are, we've never lowered ourselves onto anybody. We've never done that. We currently bring all of them together and we form this coalition, which is very fine. We started nicely. So we are surprised our sister unions will come out with such a thing. We've written to all our regional secretariats and we have informed all our regional executives to make sure we still go by the current lorry fares that we are charging. Whilst we'll be meeting to discuss the way forward and see how best we could make our industry very lucrative, whereby drivers will work happily.
So that is to say that you've not engaged the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council?
We are yet to meet. We are not under them. We are not under the GRTCC. We are not under them. So they are part of the coalition. And we are here to meet and discuss the way forward.
So what happens now? If the increment is not coming on, and you said you've written to members, and the concerned drivers also go ahead and also increase the fares tomorrow, what happens then?
Oh, they have very great respect for us. I don't think they will go ahead and do anything contrary to what we have come out with. I don't think they can do, because they know very well that there is a process in which we have to go by before coming out with any upward adjustment in lorry fares.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abbas Moro, for this explanation. And Mr. Abbas Moro is a public relations officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and he says there is no increment to transport fares on Monday, January 17. You're still watching News coming to you live on GBC News. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with a business segment. Please don't go away. Rate of about 4.6%. The Association of Ghana Industries AGI is urging the government to be resolute in its decision to reverse the benchmark values on imported goods to save the manufacturing sector from crippling. This came up when the AGI outdoored its Executive Council members with Dr. Humphrey Eyim Dake as president in Accra. New era has dawned on the Association of Ghana Industries AGI, with a new leadership charged to steer the affairs of the association for the next 2 years. The AGI over the years has chalked some successes for its members in the areas of VAT deferment, duty drawback for manufacturers, electricity tax negotiations, and advocacy on the establishment of the Development Bank. AGI promises to strengthen its international relations with global counterparts in order to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. At the investiture ceremony in Accra, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chematin, said private industrialization is paramount to the government's transformation agenda and will continue to initiate effective dialogues with the industry.
And I would like, as an association, for you to develop strong linkages between the large companies who are members of your association and also the small and medium enterprises. Government has established 67 business resource centers in different parts of our country, which is providing business development services to assist both potential and existing small and medium enterprises.
The newly elected president of the AGI, Dr. Humphrey Eyim Dake, is ready to create an AGI Youth in Business wing within the AGI umbrella. The drive is to unlock the youth entrepreneurial potential through financing and mentorship.
Under my leadership, the association will continue to collaborate with government and policymakers to create and foster an enabling industrial environment and proactively stimulate the sustainability and development of industry.
The new AGI Executive Council is headed by Dr. Humphrey Eyim Dake as president and includes Mr. Ashok Ramchand Mohinani, Vice President in charge of Large Scale, Mrs. Grace Amiobin, Vice President in charge of SMEs. Membership of the General Council members is made of associates drawn from diverse sectors of the economy. Small and medium-scale enterprises have been advised to register their participation in the 2023 fair to be held in Côte d'Ivoire. Speaking at the launch of the fair in Accra, a former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, called on member countries to make it conducive for the presence of SMEs in their individual countries to be felt at the fair in 2023.
The SMEs are encouraged, in fact, particularly encouraged, and